Hey everybody, welcome back to Lemon Branch DIY. Today we are working on how to replace the glass on a broken picture frame. So how do we do it? What materials do we need? Stick with us and I'll show you how. Okay, so what we have here is we got a picture frame. During our move, the glass part broke, but we still love the frame and we want to be able to utilize this frame again. It actually is for our son's diploma, so it's kind of an important document. So I removed the diploma because I don't want anything to happen to it. So luckily nothing happened to it during the break, but we're left with what is kind of an odd shaped frame. So you can't just go and pick up another frame and then just switch glass. It doesn't work when you have a custom frame like that. So here is my trick to saving money and being able to fix this again without having to take it to, a place that can cut the glass for you, or like a framing company. So what I did is I went to Walmart and they have a lot of different picture frames. Now the picture frames, obviously you want to pre-measure before you head there, but I had to find one that is going to fit this particular dimensions, which is it's like 14.5 inches by 17.5 inches, and none of those are standard sizes. So what I had to do is size up to a 16 by 20 so that when I put it over the top, you can see that the glass will actually fit all the way inside this frame. So what that means is now we have a piece of glass. We just have to be able to cut this piece of glass to fit this frame. The materials that we are going to use today is, I happen to have one of these T-squares. This is going to make it really easy for me to lay it on top of the table, and then this will not move and I'll be able to trace it and make a really nice cut with it. Now, we do need a glass cutter, and I'm going to leave the links down below on where I got all of this stuff. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we want to be able to get the correct measurements for this frame. Now, a lot of times on the back of the frame, you're gonna be able to pull up, there's a backing. So on the back of this frame, we've got this matting, and it happens to be the right size of what we want the glass to be. So I'm actually going to just remove the backing here, and I'm gonna use that as my template to go over the top of the glass. So now we just got the empty frame, but this, I know if we make the glass the same size as this matting, it will fit in this frame, no problem. To work on this, now this frame, I bought this at Walmart. It was only $6.75. You just pop this glass out of this particular frame. They call it a front loading frame. And you just pull the corners out and push from behind, and you're able to pop the glass out of this frame. So now we have our piece of glass, and just double checking to make sure that is big enough. So we're good on the dimensions of that. Okay, so on the back side of the new frame, there was a piece of black, kind of a hard cardstock. So I'm gonna use this to make a template for the glass. All right, so there was some matting that was inside the original frame. I'm gonna take this matting out because I know that the glass needs to be the exact size as this. So I'm going to use this as a template, and I'm gonna line it up on this black piece of paper, just like that. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and mark it with the pencil. Okay, so now that we've got the layout of the glass, this here, I'm gonna cut out where the pencil is so that we can see exactly the size of the glass. Okay, so now we have this template. This should be the exact size of what we need to cut the glass to. Before we cut the glass, we need to make sure that it's actually going to fit into the frame. So we're gonna take this should be the size of glass, and we'll slide it into the picture frame. And that looks really good. So we know that that is going to be the perfect size for the glass. Okay, now when you're working with glass, you want to make sure it stays on a nice, clean, flat surface. So you can do this on a tablecloth if you're worried about it, or if you have a nice, flat piece of granite or something like that. I'm going to use it just right on the granite, and I'm going to lay it completely flat, just like that. It should be just fine for what we're about to do. So now I'm going to take the template and I'm going to lay it on top of the glass. I'm going to actually tape the template onto the glass, and so that it will not move when we go to start doing the cutting. So we'll line it up right into the corner, and I'm just using some Scotch tape to tape it. I'm just going to tape it in a few places, and just like that. Okay, so now you can see, if we turn it over, you'll see that that's a really good line for us to go off of. So that's going to be the new size of the picture frame. I'm going to lay it back down like this so that the black stays on top. And we can use this to our advantage. What we're going to do now is we'll line this up. So here's where the T-square is going to come in handy, is up tight against the granite. Then we'll move the glass all the way down, and so we have it nice and square, just like this. All right. Okay, so the trick to when we go to make the cut, when you're lining up the T-square, you'll notice that on the edge of the cutter, there's just a little bit of a space before it actually will hit the glass. So see that little bit of lip? So while we have that little lip, we got to compensate for that so that we can actually get the cut right where we need it. So there's going to be a little of this black showing all the way down the line, so that when we go to make the cut, we have a nice flat edge, if that makes sense, and the blade will actually cut right where we want it to go. Okay, so now how you do this is it's going to take a little bit of pressure. So when we go to do it, you push down on it. When we pull this off, what we should have is a nice cut all the way down this side. And if you look, you can see where it's cut the glass right there all the way along. And I'm going to hang this part off the edge just like this. Now you can do it in one of two ways. This little ball on the back of the glass cutter, you can tap it and you can cut it that way, or they have these little things here where you can put it in the glass and you can pull up on it to pull it away from the cut. So I'm going to flip it around so that I can lift up on it with this. There we go. So that part worked. There we go. All right, so there's the first cut. Now we'll go ahead and do the second and last cut. And what we'll do is we'll set it up just like we did before, but I'm going to take this tape off here. And I'm going to actually reposition it over on this side here so that this corner does not move. Okay, now we'll do the exact same thing with the T-square. We'll set it up just like this. That way this won't move. We'll get it nice and tight like this. We'll get it lined up. We'll do the same thing over on this side. Now remember, we have to compensate for that little bit of a lip. Just like that. All the way down, just like that. Okay, now when you go to push down, listen, you'll hear it. So now when we come over here, we can just kind of break it off just like that. So now we should have a perfect cut glass that should fit in the frame. So let's go ahead and we'll take the backing off of it, and we'll get some glass cleaner and we'll get it cleaned up, and then we'll get it inserted in the frame. Okay, let's go ahead and get this cleaned up. Get the fingerprints off of it. Okay, on the inside, you want to make sure that that's nice and clean, because you can always clean the outside, but you can't necessarily go back and do the inside. So we'll make sure it's nice and clean, this side that's going to go on the inside. Okay, so moment of truth. We're going to slide the glass back down. Okay, so if we've done our job right, the glass fits all the way along. So now what we can do is let's grab the diploma and we'll slide it back in. Okay, so we got everything back in. The glass fits perfectly. We've got the matting back in, and now we can just put it back up on the wall. So not a very difficult job. It's just a little bit, scary, a little bit tricky when you go to use the glass cutter if you've never used a glass cutter before. One score is all you need, so just make sure you know that. Other than that, hopefully you found this helpful. Hopefully this is a project that you feel like you can tackle yourself. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you did like this, make sure you hit a like. Make sure you subscribe for more tips and tricks and do-it-yourself kind of projects, and we will see you on the next project.